All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to be the moderator of your next panel discussion. Please welcome together with me Ms. Katrin Bacic from Weira, Germany, Mr. Lars Rössler from BSH Startup Kitchen, and Christian Lindner from Airbus Scale. Okay. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, so in this round, we will start to get really accelerated. We will make short tours into the acceleration systems and opportunities in Berlin, in Zurich, Munich, and Hamburg. I'm not sure if that is the one or the other city too much. In order to get accelerated quickly and efficiently, I would just kindly ask the panel members to give a short introduction for those who haven't introduced themselves so far. You got one?
Hi, Katrin. I'm Managing Director and CSO of Weira Germany, based in Munich. So I'm the one from Munich. And who's Weira? Weira is the open innovation hub and so-called corporate accelerator of Telefonica, one of the global leading telco. And what we do is we offer several programs. I just said it before in your panel. We do have a very local and diverse community for early stage startups. Then we have an accelerator program based on venture client model to win Telefonica as client for you. And on the other side, to bring your innovative solution services into a big corporate such as Telefonica. And the third program is investment. So from the Weira vehicle, we invest up to 350K. But we do have a corporate VC and fund based in Madrid, where our headquarters is. And here we invest up to 10 million in startups. So looking for cool solutions to make Telefonica more digital, faster, and the solutions actually we are looking for are pretty broad. So from 5G, IoT, robotics, satellites. Also, we are looking for HR and customer service solutions. So whatever helps us to become more digital, can help us.
All right, can you guys hear me well? Does that work?
Loud and clear.
Perfectly. Awesome. First of all, I'm really sorry to not be on stage with you. I managed to break my hand when playing with my little son, but details I will share at a later stage. So my name is Lars, and I represent the BSH Startup Kitchen, which is the venture client unit of BSH Home Appliances Group. We're one of the leading home appliance manufacturers, known for our brands of Bosch, Siemens, Gaggenau, and 12 others. We are very pure play venture client unit. So what we do, we look for innovative solutions, great startup technologies that can help to improve our products, our manufacturing, our logistics, overall all processes that we run as a multinational company to be more efficient and to increase speed of innovation. The key goal and what we do is that we match the pressing business challenges of the company with leading tech startups. But we also do it the other way around. So if you are a startup active in new innovative solutions when it comes to digital products, go-to-market, sales, supply chain, anything IT related, come to me, reach out to us. I'm available on the one-on-one sessions and of course online. We offer a fast track to onboard you as a supplier within the company. We help you to maneuver all the pitfalls that you can fall into and work with a bit corporate. We will not waste your time. We don't want to waste our time either. So it's a win-win, creating business. Eventually, and this is something we are building up right now, if there's a great strategic fit, we're also open for minority and strategic investments, including M&A. But that, of course, would be something we would do typically after the typical venture client interaction. So looking forward to meeting you all and diving into the value proposition, how to accelerate again. I didn't mention it. I'm based in Munich as well, but we're operating globally. We have outposts in China, in Turkey. We are actively leveraging all subsidiaries that we have. We're active like in 40 countries in the world. So we're literally everywhere. So we're here based in Munich, but doing business with everyone and for every region within the company.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Lars. And Christian, please.
Yeah, many thanks, and very nice to be here again after a couple of years now. It is actually. So what I do is basically leading everything there's innovation around Airbus. I think Airbus doesn't need really an introduction. Leading aerospace company of the world. And what we understand about innovation is basically bringing the startups in a very fast, lean way, as fast as it can be in a big conglomerate as Airbus is. We now went into more company building, so getting technologies out of Airbus and building great companies around it. Airbus is a very technological, innovative company. And the third one is investments, minority investments, also buying companies, buying startups. What we do not do that much is everything that is core business. So we don't do any startups or investments in aircrafts or eVTOLs that much. More if it's adjacent, right? If it supports the digital transformation of the company or if it's new business. So that's what we're looking into. And nice to be here again.
Excellent. Thank you. And Tom, Kickstart.
Yeah, so the reason why it's a little bit confusing, Daniel, is because Katka, the CEO and co-founder of Kickstart, was supposed to be here, and then COVID happened. And because I'm here anyway, and I used to be one of the guys who was running Impact Hub Zurich, and Kickstart came out of Impact Hub, I was like, okay, I'm here, so give me a presentation and I will introduce Kickstart, and then let's see how this is going. So what Kickstart does look for is later stage startups, and so basically Kickstart does shidduchim with like public organizations and also with corporates in Switzerland. Kickstart has been around for a while, as you can see, and there has been a lot of money raised, like 1.5 billion Swiss francs. And you might recognize a couple of the startups that have gone through Kickstart and raised a lot of money. And the focus area of this year's program you can see here. What is special is that we have introduced now a sustainability and circular economy cluster that connects through all the different areas, besides introducing also or including entrepreneurship. So these are all the partners. So a lot of partners you see from different areas and so on. And why should you join Kickstart actually? I think one of the most important part is, besides the whole connecting and so on, it's non-equity. So Kickstart doesn't ask for any equity, and it gives access to partnership funds, and it does the intros and so on and so forth, and you have a lot of access to C-level executives here than in Switzerland. So get in touch. I'm here today. And reach out to Katka. She's available both through email and online, and she will also be doing the online sessions. Thank you.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. So for the time being, I would kindly ask the panel, maybe in really few brief bullet points. I'm an Israeli startup which is seeking desperately or less desperately for the ideal accelerator. First questions, what would the ideal client look for you? And second question, what would you recommend an Israeli startup? Just very shortly, what are the do's and don'ts, very roughly, if I address you? Maybe if I start with you.
My first recommendation would be search for the accelerator that really fits your strategic goal to step into the German market. For example, is your product really relevant for the telecommunications sector, and you want to scale within the telecommunication sector and with Telefonica, Vodafone, other players, then it makes really sense. So I would say this is really important. And yeah, what you definitely should do is bring a concrete, as I said, company-specific use case. So definitely industry-specific, but better a company-specific use case, and tell the corporate what are the benefits out of the cooperation. And don't give up, because it can take longer than expected. And from my experience, it often pays out. So build up a nice network, find the one person in the corporate that really brings you further. And yeah, then after a couple of months, you can win a big corporate as a client. And then what I also see, it's often very easy to prolong your commercial contract. So it's hard to win the corporate client, but then it's often pretty easy to prolong and step into a 3 years contract. So yeah, I would say don't give up and bring a specific use case.
Actually sounds very Viennese, maybe to take it a bit slower, but therefore more sustainably. Christian, how is this with Airbus?
I mean, it also relates to Airbus. So plan ahead a lot of time. It will take its time, and you need to really push all the time, right? Don't trust that there's somebody interested in what you're doing and will pull you through, but you need to be really pushy on it. And the second thing is what we saw is that if it's too early, it's not really interesting for a corporate. Also, if you want a minority investment, it needs to have a certain proof of viability, feasibility at least. Otherwise, I think really early stage accelerators, corporate accelerators, they don't exist that much because it needs to be a very strong value proposition.
Right, thank you. Lars, would you also support the statement that the less questions the accelerator has to ask the Israeli startup, the better, or is that not true?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that we all come to the same conclusion about being not like too early when trying to work with a corporate, because you will just get lost along the way. We made these experiences quite frankly ourselves in the past year. Like there are like great solutions out there that sound too good to be true. You do the POC and then you find out it's just too much. You got to be ready as a startup to work with a corporate. You need to have the runway. You need to have the time. You need to be professional enough, like in the sense that you can be transparent about what you can do, what you can deliver. From my older days when I was still doing startup investments, primarily, like you could still play the game of like pretending to be able to deliver and then inventing it along the way. But if the corporate, like the way we do it, we also try to be fast. You don't have the time, so you got to be ready, and you got to be ready to scale. Like if it's too early, don't do it. Rather take your time. Rather work on your product. And I guess that's the other key takeaway for me. Don't come to corporate and to program if you want to do business with a technology. Like no one, like I can tell from my experience, no one cares about the technology. I care about the solution. I care about the product that we can buy, something that we can change and move within the company. It's not about the tech. The tech has to do its job, but it's really the solution we're looking for.
Tom, what is the biggest don't an Israeli should not do when it presents itself at Kickstarter?
The biggest don't is don't apply. I mean, just look at the website at Kickstart. I mean, there is a whole process. On April 26th, it's gonna open up, and you can apply, and it's quite a cool engineered process, which will tell you, okay, do you really qualify or not? The one thing, I mean, seriously, the one thing you shouldn't do is the one thing that I mentioned before. Don't send 2 emails per day to the whole team and be pushy about it and so on, because that's something that's rather seen as rude and not as chutzpah. It's because that somehow doesn't really exist in Switzerland. It's really just look at the process, follow this process, and then be part of the whole matchmaking.
So there's no burnt soil once I can. So once if it was too early, would you suggest that I can hand in another time later on, or how would you assess this?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, if you get rejected in the process, then just take the feedback you got, come back for the next batch. And actually, there were quite a lot of Israeli startups that have already participated in different Kickstart batches, and just do it.
All right. Okay. We're slowly coming to the end of our discussion. Are there any questions from the audience for up to now to our accelerators on the stage? So I can see no. Okay. So seems to be clear. Christian, maybe have you had an Israeli startup recently in the last years, which you can present as an example, as a case study?
Yeah, we actually had one. I think when the crisis started, actually, it was obviously cybersecurity. And actually, we were working with quite a few startups there. So this was a startup that could actually simulate a war scenario, which is pretty interesting, especially in these times, where you can connect different applications and satellites and RF, and then you could simulate the outcomes of a war, and then with an encrypted site. So that was pretty interesting. And maybe just one thing to Israeli startups: they normally are very advanced when we talk to them. So very advanced, very well known in B2B as well. And very self-assured of what they do. So it was a pleasure.
Excellent. Katrin, did you have an Israeli startup which you would like to mention in the last years, or?
I can mention one B2C startup, Keepers, part of our portfolio. They work with Telefonica. They offer cyberbullying, cybermobbing product to protect the devices of the kids and the families. And of course, O2, the main brand of Telefonica in Germany, we are looking for B2C solutions like that to make the life make the digital life of our families safer. And another example is Flexivan, is also a startup from Israel for our B2B clients. They offer SD-based WAN, and we need the technology for corporate networks we offer to B2B clients.
So security is obviously a very strong field. Lars, have you had the Israeli company under your wings?
Yeah, of course, I don't want to add into the cybersecurity part again because that's already been mentioned. Actually, one of our most successful pilots we ever did was with an Israeli startup for our factories, which company was called Inspecto. And what they do, they developed kind of like a plug-and-play optical inspection solution that you can put into our production lines and actually remove a lot of actually very tedious manual or visual control that has been done by our workers in the factory. So you just put a very simple, it looks like a very simple camera, great tech behind it, with a great business model for us. So that was a really good example, and really not the typical maybe scope that you would see in Israeli startup, and it was a great scaling. We out of our 40 factories, it's now in place, nothing more than 10. So it's really a good story.
Excellent. And Tom, 1 minute for you, please. Do you know if Kickstarter is probably now a gap, but have you had any experience with Israeli startups? Many, I assume, or one you'd like to mention?
Yeah, actually, there were multiple startups that have gone through Kickstart. One of them is Cover. That's about. I'm just blanking. Sorry, about risk assessment, but in the insurance area and so on. And they're growing like crazy now. And one other startup that unfortunately forgot the name. I think it's Yaron Microbics, and they're into analyzing like germs and salads and vegetables and so on. And they have through that successfully entered also the European market. And there were multiple also cybersecurity and so on. And so it's really it's a good place to be for Israelis.
So great! Thank you very much for sharing your experience. So you see the pathway is there to access these accelerators. It's no new rocket science and no new things which have to be discovered. Please give a very big hand for our panelists, and thank you very much.